To the top left of the map, starting for Incredible Miracle, is the Protoss player in yellow called
LGIM first.
Playing extremely well in this group so far. I think surprising a lot of people.
His opponent is a Zerg player. And he starts at the top right. In blue on Whirlwind we have
MVP DongRaeGu.
This match does not only affect First and DRG, this match also affects Grubby. If First wins the game against DongRaeGu, it means that Grubby cannot take the third place in the group anymore because of the players he would be tied with. He would fall down into Code A. The rest of the matches for him would not be relevant anymore, at least not for him.
Yeah.
If DRG takes the game, then he is still in the run for the third spot, so he currently wants First to lose here.
Very true. Take a look at these stats here. You can see that, again, DongRaeGu has played so many games. We've seen this as well in all the games First has played. We didn't really talk about them. You guys see them on screen. First just has not played that often in the GSL, so he has very little stats to really take anything from. I mean, of course, if you look at his stats internationally, you can see a lot more, but just in that booth particularly.
First with the pilot now at the big ramp, and to the top right we have the probe. And he got lucky enough, or fortunate enough, to find his opponent on the first position that he scouted. This is always one of the big questions that you have if you're starting on a 4-player map. If I send my probe out, can I actually find my opponent in time? Which is one of the reasons why a lot of Protoss players send out 2 probes. This was back in the days, Tal'Darim Altar, of course, a map where a lot of Zerg players decided to go for an early pool. You had to send out 2 probes. There was just no other way. You had to send out the probe at 9, you scouted the first position, and if your opponent wasn't there, you sent out the probe that built the pylon to the opposite direction to make sure that you would spot an early pool and could react in time. Because if you didn't do so, you would lose the game if your opponent gambled a little bit.
Just like we saw with Grubby. I mean, in that case, he didn't scout at all, but just the case of not knowing can be so painful. DRG gets away with the third. He doesn't get the natural because First blocks him there, but First is positioning his probe in such a way that he could try to do some cannon shenanigans over there. I don't think he will.
First also got his cannon before he got the gateway, which means for him that he will have a bit of a even more delayed tag. And we saw First open with Stargates. And this is something that DRG, of course, observed. DRG is the last Zerg player that First has to face, so DRG would have a good look in the backstage area, just had a glimpse, okay, what are you gonna do? How did you play against Symbol? How did you play against Lucira? And he was like, both times, Stargate. Maybe you're trying to fool me, trying to trick me, trying to play a different strategy here on this map, but there is the possibility that you play the same strategy once again, and if you open with a Stargate, then I will be ready.
Yeah. So far he is in that mindset. And, you know, First, we talked about it already. First game, Stargate goes well. Second game, goes Stargate again. Is he going to go 3 for 3 with this? I thought in the second game he would change the style. But on this map, for example, Immortal play is a lot weaker. And it's even harder to take a third with Immortals than it is, I feel personally, to use a Stargate to accomplish the same thing, because that's the only way you can put the Zerg player on the defensive, where you can take your third. There's no walling your third on this map. There's 2 entrances to the third base. But the core is finishing, and we're about to find out what the answer is. What are you going to do first?
No pun intended, I guess.
Yeah. Not intended, but we'll see. It's time. I feel like we're going to start. There it is. He puts it in the main, in the back of the base again.
Top left.
He's going to hide the Phoenixes. This seems to be his style.
Yeah. And it's getting more and more popular, and for good reason. If you see a good Protoss player with great micro using Phoenixes, you can do so much damage. That's what First happened to do against Lucira, and it didn't really win him the game right away, but it already set the first mark in the match, and Lucira just wasn't really able to recover from it. Against Symbol, it didn't work that well. He was still able to kill a fair amount of Overlords and put Symbol behind a bit, but then Symbol's reaction was just a bit too good and First couldn't deal with it. It was very close though, so it's still a style. If I was First, I would be happy with how I played so far. I would be okay. Against Symbol, it didn't really work out in the end, but I did damage with my Stargate opening. It really did a lot, so why not do it again against
Exactly.
DRG?
You know, the problem in the game against Symbol was not a problem of the Stargate, it was just a problem of Symbol's great reaction to it, and also Even after losing so many units, he just had the great attack. And
Talking about losing, two Zerglings already gone, and those Stalkers are still going for it.
Yeah, he didn't make the Lings early enough to actually protect some of his drones. Now he's going to lose more Lings, and when the Phoenixes come in, this is the same problem that Symbol faced, is that his Queen was a little bit weaker. DRG, in this case, has the third and extra Queen, but no additional ones beyond that.
First, we'll try to move back now, because this is... he's afraid of speed kicking in. But he actually lingers around with those Stalkers, and usually you would have speed before your lair attack, but in this case DRG decided to attack to lair first. And now our Protoss player has a chance of killing even more Zerglings, or at least occupying DRG. He forced a lot of Lings here, so that's exactly what the first wanted to do. Those two Stalkers were worth their money in gold.
Yeah. Or in this case,
rather their weight.
And
the minerals,
best
whatever.
Gas.
Yeah.
Gas is not that heavy, so...
I screwed it up, didn't I?
Yeah, you... Alright. Don't fret. But the Phoenixes come out now, and DRG had a little bit late of an evolution here, but because we saw the wait for the 4 instead of the 3 first, he should be okay. Devastation Pit's coming up here. How much damage are these going to do? DRG has right now 3 Overlords out on the map that could be killed. And he splits his Overlords away from the Queen.
The Queen is gone.
Yeah, the Queen is gone, and these Overlords are fair targets.
And he's trying to go for the rest of the Queens, apparently. He's not going into killing drones. And here comes a Void Ray now as the second or the next unit out of the Stargate. Another Queen is dead. He's starting to take out Overlords, and before those Forkballers are gone, he can still take down a lot of them. I'm a little bit surprised how much damage First can do every single time he goes for his Phoenixes, given that he has shown the strategy.
Yeah. Look at this. Taking him off into main now. And DRG is hoping he can find a third next and force a cancel on, but First is not ready for that yet. He wants to get a few more units out before he actually tries to move over there. He's doing the same exact build, the exact same way 3 times in a row with no variation at all.
He's doing a lot of damage with it, and it's working very well for him.
It just goes to show, stick with what works, because if you practice it well enough on enough different maps, then you've got the flexibility to transition into your third base.
He killed a fair amount of Overlords, he killed Queens, he's still in the position where he takes down drones. 6 Harvesters killed so far. He's delaying the gas mining.
Yeah, and now he's got his third base up in a very comfortable position. His +1 is done, he starts to rock support bay.
And now starts the timing where the Infestors become an issue. Yes. So will he get fungal, or can he back off and save those Phoenixes for later on to lift Infestors, to work against Corruptors?
Yeah, we saw the fungal in his first game, and here we go again.
2. This time he gets 2.
He could have saved those, actually. That's something we see. Yeah, he saved them. It's because he was focused on his third base over here, which, by the way, is a really successful attack by DRG. Since these Zealots were out of position, he's going to be able to get all the sentries.
That's just awful for him. It's always unfortunate if you lose those sentries. It's a lot of gas that you invested, and he doesn't really have a lot of units to deal with those Lings. The Lings tried to go into the natural earlier, but they couldn't make it work, and now they are about to take the Nexus out, or at least force a cancel.
He has to cancel, even with his Phoenixes coming back to help out. He has to cancel. This is a great position for DRG now. He's got his Spire going up 2-2. Is on the way. First, of course, the only one Forge does not have that. He's actually getting a Warp Prism right now, but that's not going to be too helpful, I feel. In the case of all the defense set up for DRG and his creep spread, the Warp Prism's not going to do much for him at all.
We have a lot of bank for First, so he can really warp in a lot of units. He's trying, of course, to get his Nexus back up. He wants to be on 3 bases, and the Warp Prism can do a lot. If he's able to get into a good position here, maybe even unscouted, and then warps in 1 or 2 rounds, and supports it with the Phoenixes, with the Void Ray, he can do a lot while taking his third base. DRG still has a presence on the map. He is getting 26 Zerglings now. Attempted lift.
That was weird.
That was really weird. Why cancel? I think he misclicked.
Yeah, that was really strange. I think it must have been a misclick, or he just... You know that mindset when you see like a drone about to make a hatchery and a bunch of Marauders are heading over or something, you just like, oh, gotta cancel here so I don't lose it. I think that must have been what he was thinking.
No.
But this is a lot of Lings out for DRG. He's got 45 on the map. He wants to find an opening either at the third base where he can force another cancel, or where he can potentially run into the natural and do some damage. Just the presence of the Lings alone is really scary for First at this moment in time. He wants to see the Colossus if he can.
He has Corruptors now on the production tab though, and with those Corruptors he of course knows what's going on here. I mean, what else are you going to do when you are First? We have already the Phoenixes in the game that can tank a bit of damage. We have also the additional Void Ray. So Call Outside make a lot of sense. The expansion was delayed. This is the one advantage that DRG really has here, that he was able to take down this Nexus, forcing a cancel. But First is still playing a very strong game. We have a decent amount of harvesters for him, just highlighted by Legend, whereas now the charge is being researched, +2 is about to be completed, as is the extended thermal lance upgrade. So DongRaeGu has a good position taking the 4th base right now, but First is not too far behind. He's now in the timing window where DRG will have a lot more supply, and it's time for First to try to defend. But if he can defend those 3 bases and get his additional attack up, now even the Archons in the equation, then get maybe even Storm, then DRG has to be very careful.
Yeah, and DRG, the most important part of this attack, if he goes for it right now, which it looks like he's gearing up to once Roach Speed finishes, is that he does not lose his Infestors. If he gets some damage done and gets all of his Infestors away, that's beautiful. If he gets a lot of damage done and loses all his Infestors, he could still even die to a counterattack. So he has to be extremely careful with his Infestors, how he gets them out there. His army is massive, though.
It's a nice wall that we have from the 3rd, on the other hand. With those gateways, that is definitely what he needs. And here comes DongRaeGu trying to move in.
Still here.
He sees what's going on, but he backs off. Is he really trying to commit against this great wall First?
I don't think he will. I think he's just going to drop some Infested Terrans and then try to focus down some of these Colossi, and then he'll leave.
He's moving in, he's trying to take down those Colossi, and now it's time for the Void Ray to die. Another Colossus is appearing and trying to take down units.
The lifts on the Phoenixes were really late. DRG has so many Infested Terrans, but they're not able to fight units, they're mostly fighting the gateways.
The Infested Terrans kill the Phoenixes though. Finally, those Infestors are ready. Another Colossus is walking towards the 3rd base, right into the Corruptors.
Yeah, you're right, and the reinforcements may just seal the deal on this game. First down to 90 supply, and even with the gateway, it's it.
GG! DRG takes the game, advances to Code S. Congratulations to the MVP Zerg player, and he also keeps the chances of Gravi alive to take 3rd place in this group. Well played here, DongRaeGu with another win, flawless today, as a 4-0 now.
This is where he belongs, many would argue, myself included. DongRaeGu is the final boss after all, and right now he is looking dominant. When DongRaeGu is in the right mindset, when he is in his strides, he looks unbeatable, and that's how he looks today. That's how he looked in the Blizzard Cup. He wasn't able to take that title, but even in his Iron Screen group, looking really, really good, and DongRaeGu is definitely somebody to worry about in 2013.
DRG has one last game today. It is against Lucira. The next game that we have is a Terran versus Protoss though. It is Gravi versus Byong. For Byong, the match does not really matter anymore. He's already in Code A. He has no chance to claim the 3rd place in the group. For Gravi, there's still a lot on the line. Well, first of all, pride. You don't want to go out of the up and down group without winning a single map, which is also true for Byong. But Gravi can still get 3rd place. If he takes out Byong, if he adds another or the 1st win to the scoreboard for him, then he has a shot of playing on Friday in the wildcard group.
Yep, he will have that shot, but he has to go through Byong first. This is basically these two players battling it out to see, you know, who gets the wild card, but it's also like, pride-wise, whoever loses this looks like the biggest loser of the group. I mean, they got dominated.
So far, Byong has only faced Zerg players. He lost against every single Zerg player in the group. We have him to the left with the trench coat that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah. He looks good at that coat. It looks much better when he's standing, though.
Gravi to the right. It's actually funny to see Byong in this coat. Apparently, he's quite cold on the other hand. Gravi only in a t-shirt.
Yep, he's warmed up. You know, there's actually a heater in the booth that players can choose. Some people just feel more comfortable with the jacket on, I guess. And Tomb Valley is the map. Protoss versus Terran. I'm really excited to see what Grubby has planned. Grubby has done excellent things in the late game in this matchup. His storms are what he's known for. That's what people, fans all around the world are waiting for. Will we see those Grubby storms?
It's going to be a tough match for both of them. For Byong, there's also pride on the line. He wants to win this game. For Grubby, though, there's a lot more. He needs to take it if he wants to have a shot at 3rd place. And, well, what can he do here? This is the only Terran that he's going to face today. We have Entombed Valley being the map, and we are ready to get things started here. The Foreigner against the Korean, CJ Antus, Byong against Grubby, Terran versus Protoss. After this game, we're heading into our last break before we have the last final 3 matches of Up and Down Group C here at the GSL. The match is live and we are good to go. GSL Up and Downs, Grubby versus Byung with Colin Wolf.